The Universal One by Dr. Walter Russell. The Universal One, Volume 1, First Principles. Book 1, Chapter 8, The Sex Principle. Sir Oliver Lodge points out that man has long been familiar with force and motion, but that some third intangible, undiscovered force is recognizedly necessary to complete a logical universe. Force and motion infer that the third undiscovered force is existent somewhere back of or with them. He also states that when discovered, it may prove to be something with which man is already familiar. Sex is the great third principle. Sex is the controlling cause of both force and motion. Without it, neither could continue. To say that mind is the motive power back of force and motion is but stating a generality, but to state an attribute of mind by means of which force and motion are controlled is being specific. Sex is the motive power behind force and motion. Sex is the apparent division of the father-mother substance of mind into apparent opposites. This division is due to the opposite desires of electricity and magnetism, expressed in the action and reaction of the thinking process. Sex is the active desire of mind for division into opposites and its reactive desire for unity. Sex is that motive force which demands separability into two and equally desires union of the apparent two into one. Mind, being one, cannot yield to the desire of mind for separation into two. Sex desire of mind for divisibility into two succeeds only in producing an appearance of divisibility into two. Likewise, sex desire of mind for unity into one succeeds only in reproducing an apparent composite of the two. Sex is of all things from the beginning. Sex begins when light begins. Sex is the desire for the appearance of being which constitutes the appearance of existence. Nothing can be without the desire to be. All things are which desire to be. Desire dominates all thinking. Desire dominates all matter. All desire is sex desire. All desire is for the continuance of existence in the orderliness of existence. Sex desire is that force in thinking which continues thinking. Existence is continued only through thinking. Sex force is that quality in the electromagnetic impulse of thinking which continues one impulse of thinking into the next impulse of thinking. Sex force, like all phenomena of motion, is periodic. Sex periodicity continues the simple beginning of idea into the complexity of idea. Sex force is the builder of the apparently many things out of the reality of the one thing. Periodic variance of sex is the father of desire for the creation of the idea of many things. Remove the image-making faculty of the father force of mind, and the production of idea would discontinue. Variance of sex is the mother of desire for unity of sex. Remove the sex desire of mind for the unity of oneness of the mother force of mind, and reproduction of the idea of mind would discontinue. Matter cannot continue its appearance of existence as form without the desire to continue such an appearance of existence. The material substance of mind cannot evade its materialization into the form desired by mind. This is an immutable law to which there can be no exception. Man's concept of sex as beginning with organic life is a wrong concept. Sex is as absolute in the elements as in the complexities and compounds of the elements. Man's concept of the beginning of sex and the beginning of life is a concept founded on conditions of temperature. Sex and life and light and intelligence are in and of all things from the beginning. The sex principle is as much a part of the granite rock or bar of iron as it is of man. The great hot star called Argo, blazing away at a temperature of 30,000 degrees, knows sex in its fiery heart and cannot continue its appearance without it. The Martian ice cap knows sex in its frozen depths and retains its appearance because of sex. Sex is an electromagnetic equalizer of matter in motion. Sex is the apparent division of the one force into electricity and magnetism, two opposite forces, positive and negative, which are in reality but two pulsations of the one force. Sex is the apparent division of all things into their opposites, male and female. Sex is evolutionary in all things. All things are both male and female. All creation is first male in preponderance, then it is similarly female. All light units and systems of light units are first male-female, then they are female-male. Apparent opposites of the indivisible substance of universal mind are not content to remain in the state of apparent opposition. Unity or oneness, inherent in all things, asserts itself in dissatisfaction when electromagnetic forces of matter in motion are sufficiently generative to cause too great an inequality between the apparent opposites. Sex is unsatisfied when the electromagnetic forces of matter in motion are unequal, and it is satisfied when those forces are equal. A lightning flash is the power of sex equalizing positive and negative electromagnetic disturbances of equilibrium between two oppositely and unequally charged storm clouds. In motion in inertia, sex desire is negative. In motion in opposition, sex desire is positive. It is dynamic. Sex first asserts itself in form. All form appears through sex, passes through a progressive charge called growth, and disappears. All growth is impelled by force and motion and controlled by sex. Neither sex, nor force, nor motion is of itself alone. Each is of the others. Nothing is of itself alone. There can be no force without thinking. There can be no motion without the force of thinking. There can be no idea of mind without sex opposition. There can be no continuity of idea without sex union. Without union in mating, the idea of any one thing would be extinct as an appearance. Thinking and working are the causes of those elements which man calls sex, force, and motion. Without all three of these there could be no appearance of existence as man knows existence. Thinking and working continue the appearance of all idea from the high to the low octaves of creation. All creating things are but the ideas of divine mind. The whole idea of all things is in the seed of all things. In the seed of idea is the whole of idea. In the seed of the oak is the whole of the oak. In the seed of the rose is the whole of the rose. In the seed of man is the whole of man. The seed of all idea is in thinking. The whole idea of the oak or the rose or man is the result of thinking and working for perhaps 1 billion years of continuing the idea of the oak, the rose or man in the seed thereof. This is the law of evolving existence. It is as true of complex as it is of simple things. All idea is registered in the little particles heretofore referred to as light units. These units of light, heat, sex, electricity, and magnetism are all male and all female. Every unit is either preponderantly male or preponderantly female. Just so is every unit either preponderantly electric or preponderantly magnetic. Just so is every unit either preponderantly negatively or preponderantly positively electromagnetic. Just so is every unit preponderantly generative or preponderantly radiative, and each unit is all of these. And each unit is variable, becoming preponderantly one or another of these in its turn from the beginning to the end of its beginning. And the variability is orderly and governed by measurable laws of periodicity, which are also the laws by which motion is governed. It must not be forgotten that all that man calls creation is the result of motion, which is due to the opposing impulses of thinking. It must not be forgotten that a continuance of motion causes a creating and not a created universe. The electromagnetic action of the impulses of thinking is continuous in its opposing, and therefore are the effects of that opposition continuous. Opposing desire in sex expression is the cause of opposing motion. A cause cannot evade its effect. Opposing electromagnetic impulses are sex expression in creative thinking. Opposing electromagnetic impulses reproduce all effects of creative thinking. Form is born true to the rhythm of thinking. All thinking is rhythmic thinking. Idea is synchronous with the rhythm of thinking. All thinking is sex thinking. Creation is the transforming of the one substance by the rhythmic thinking of idea into apparent opposites and into that which man calls form. Beyond this there is no more. Creation is but a concept of mind. It is but an illusion, an effect of thinking. All thinking is registered in light. All light is sex expression. Light is the language of all thinking. Light is the energy of all thinking. All energy is the energy of sex expression. There is no other energy. Through evolving sex, light causes the transition of the universal substance into form. Through sex periodicity, light transforms form into variety of form. This universe of motion is a universe of production, destruction, and reproduction. All form is produced by the male electropositive plus action of the charging electric oscillation of the universal life principle. is destroyed by the female electronegative minus reaction of the discharging magnetic oscillation, and is reproduced through the union of both by radioactive regeneration in inertia. Thanks for watching.